Hey guys, it's Kathy. How are you doing? Please tell me you heard that intro and I remembered to click share sound. I'm going with it. I don't have any messages yet that there's no intro music, so I'm just going to pretend everything's fine. Look at these people. We got new people in for the beginning of a stream. That's crazy. That's awesome, guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay. All right. All right. I got both we heard and we didn't hear. Is your volume up? I'm just going to look real quick. There. It's good now, no matter you heard it or not. Hi, guys. All right. One court today, a custody case. The, the end is really good when the judge talks to them and admonishes them. Oh my gosh. So if we want to go into Fleischers afterwards, we can, but this is 2 hours, this one. So it's up to you guys. Here we go. Let's get started.
PD.
Okay. All right. And at this point, I'm gonna let you pick up. Were y'all able to get Kylan back out of the vehicle?
Yes. I was informed that Kylan and the mother proceeded to.
So I missed the first few minutes because they go live and they start right away. They just start right away. I would have to have all courtrooms recording all the time to get the very beginning. So we're just going to learn what's going on as we go. It's fine. You're fine.
The ER entrance in order for Kylan to be readmitted and taken back into inpatient for continued care.
Okay. And at that point, did you speak with Mr. Todd Evans, the father, about how to de-escalate the situation?
Yes. The father, while he provided us with a copy of the court paperwork, I told him pretty much like, I understand you want to see your son. That's understandable. But considering everything that happened and how we really want to make sure your son gets his medical care, how about I give you like pretty much like a work note that would allow him to get like a discount at a hotel, so he could still come visit, but we could just like prevent any further arguments because we just didn't want to risk mom leaving with Kylan again.
Okay. And did he oblige or I guess comply with that?
He did.
Did he give you any pushback?
No.
Okay. So you asked him to go get a hotel room, allow y'all time to de-escalate the situation, essentially to remove himself from it, and he complied.
He did, yes.
Okay. Now, and eventually, did Kylan end up getting the medical treatment he needed? And
yes, he was readmitted back into the inpatient unit. And at that point, the inpatient social worker continued her communications with the family. But she works during the day. So, yeah, she could probably speak better in regards to what those interactions were.
okay. All right. So, do you recall what floor of the hospital this Kylan's room where all this started was?
I know it was inpatient. I think it was either the 4th floor or the 6th floor. I don't remember the exact floor, but I believe it was at least the 4th floor or the 6th floor. I don't remember the exact unit.
How long, on average, would it take you to go from where Kylan's room was out to the parking deck to where the end of this confrontation took place?
It's based on foot traffic, and I'd say maybe like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe.
Okay. And so at the time she left when I say she, Miss Thomas took Kylan out of his hospital room against hospital advice. Did you and other individuals follow her all the way to the parking deck?
Yes, myself, the house supervisor, and security met us there, but I don't remember if it was the same security that was initially upstairs with us.
Were y'all trying to de-escalate and talk to her this entire time?
Yeah, just trying to discuss with her the importance of Kylan staying for his medical care, considering he wasn't medically cleared, discussing like what the next steps were in regards to his medical care, which was going to be handled the following day.
How was her demeanor during all of this?
Mother was shouting. She was shouting in the hallways. It was very disruptive. Other staff were observing the behavior. So that is what continued us to try to de-escalate mom and convince her and the patient to stay.
Was she cussing?
I don't recall any use of profanity, just mostly shouting.
Okay. Are you aware during your time there if Choa's had any other incidents? Don't go into detail, but any other incidents with the mother?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that. He's laid no foundation for how she might know that, and if she would be the person capable of testifying to any such incidents.
I just asked her if she was personally aware during her time at her employment there, the hospital had any other. I mean, she was employed with Choa as a social worker. Judge, for one thing, if there's an incident with the individual, I'm sure they're going to make her aware if there were other incidents because she needs to know how to deal with them. Are you aware if there were any other incidents with Miss Thomas at Choa Hospital?
Again, Your Honor, I object because he didn't ask was she personally aware. He just asked was she aware, and there's a big difference between hearing people talk about things and personally observing them.
Your response?
Judge, the question is she can clear it up, and then you can weigh whether to take it into consideration. And I asked her, was she personally aware, or was she made aware as part of her job duties?
Did you ask her if she was personally aware?
Are you personally aware of Miss Thomas causing any other issues with the hospital?
I wasn't made aware.
Okay. Have you been made aware of the hospital having any more issues with her as part of your, let me finish my question, please, as part of your job duties with Choa?
All right, hold on. Your objection.
Objection. Hearsay.
Your response.
She's not going into the details. I just said if she was aware if there were any other issues with Miss Thomas in the hospital, that she was notified as part of her job duties at the hospital.
Overruled. You can answer.
I wasn't made aware.
All right.
Fair enough. Any other thing that I have not asked you about regarding this situation that you would like the court to be aware of?
No, that's pretty much everything from what I can recall.
Okay. No further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Ms. Dorgan. How are you?
She's on Zoom.
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So now I was looking through your notes here, and what I have, I'm looking at, if you're holding the same thing I am, it looks like page 42 of 93. And it says that, your note says that the patient grabbed his father by the neck after the father called the mother a bitch outside of the doors.
Yes, during my debrief with security.
Okay. And that security and PD had to assist with separating the father and son?
Yes, that's what security told me.
So I guess it's fair to say that after Mr. Evans said some derogatory things towards the child's mother, the child became upset. Put his hands on his father.
Yes.
Yes. And if I heard you correctly, and it is a little hard to hear you through the Zoom, but if I heard you correctly, Miss Thomas did not have any physical altercations with anyone at the hospital.
I was not made aware. I didn't witness any physical altercations with mom.
All right. And reading your notes, it appears that the patient, the child, he was upset. That'd be a fair characterization of how Colin was acting that night. He was upset.
Dad didn't really show me any feelings of anger. He showed me that he was concerned.
Okay,
He showed me directly.
Okay, well, I didn't ask about Dad. I asked about the patient, about Colin.
Oh, the patient. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you mentioned Dad. Yes, the patient showed he was upset, in which he preferred to return home with mother.
Okay, so patient was upset from your impression about being told he was going to have to go home with Dad.
Yes.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Dorgan, going back to this, you talked about this incident with the patient and his father. Did you personally witness that?
Of the strangling?
Yeah, of when she asked you about the patient grabbing his father. Did you personally witness that?
I didn't witness it. I just heard like screaming as I was leaving the parking deck.
In your opinion as a social worker, out of these two parents, whose conduct during that hospital stay was the most conducive towards
Your Honor, I'm going
helping Colin's care?
It's ultimate issue. That's for you
Neither.
to decide.
That's
We give you the
during
facts
that hospital stay.
and you make a decision.
Yeah.
That's
The way you've asked that question, I believe, gets to the ultimate issue. I mean, you can ask who behaved more appropriately in a hospital setting, but I don't think you can ask it in a manner that says.
Not fair enough. In your opinion of what you witnessed, who behaved appropriately out of the two in that setting?
I would say the one who was the most appropriate was the father, though it was inappropriate to use slanderous remarks towards mother, especially in the presence of the patient. Dad was still compliant with the recommendation and in agreement with the patient staying. He also was in agreement with us when I said, just to make sure that we don't have any further moments, Dad, would you be okay with staying at a hotel just so we can keep things calm in the hospital environment? So while like there was still, I guess, that error on both sides of mom shouting and wanting to leave with the patient and dad using profanity, Dad didn't give us pushback about the patient receiving care.
Okay. And that comment was made that you're talking about where Dad used profanity was out in the parking deck when she's in the car trying to leave with the child. Okay.
Yeah.
He was upset at that point. Was he upset at that point? Your observation?
When I saw him, I just saw him standing there. Like I didn't see him saying anything because we were mostly communicating with the mother and the patient. Well, mostly the mother about we need to get him back into his room for continued care. Dad wasn't saying anything to me when I was there because I was mostly talking to mom.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Dorgan.
Anything else?
No,
All right. Mr. Dorgan, thank you so much for being available for us this afternoon. And you're free to leave the call at this point, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Lucky you, lady.
Judge, I believe Investigator Thomas is the last one on there. We can call him.
Crazy custody.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me, sir?
He's here and here.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me now?
Hey, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, sir?
I can.
Very good.
Investigator Thomas, will you raise your right hand for me, please, sir? You swear and affirm the testimony about to present before this court, they be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can lower your right hand. Will you state your name for the record?
Bill Thompson.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm employed with Lawrence County Sheriff's Office as a criminal investigator.
And his name is Bill. Guys, maybe this is why I got this whole 2 hours, because his name is Bill.
Okay. And how long have you been employed with in law enforcement?
24 years.
Okay. All of that with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department?
No, not all of it. I've been here at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office since May of 2022.
Okay. Investigator Thomas, you familiar with Miss Jennifer Thomas?
Yes.
Okay. And going back to, I believe, in the end of April of this year, did you involved with an investigation regarding Miss Thomas?
Yes, I was.
All right. Tell the court about how you become involved.
I became involved on April 29th when I was assigned the case. April 26th, patrol got a call that went out to the house. Kylan had ran away and drove the Polaris Ranger from his father's house over to his mother's house.
Okay, so the 26th was on a Friday, I believe.
Right.
And then the 29th was a Monday, is that correct?
Monday. They assigned me the case on Monday.
Okay. And
Guys, did we see these two before? Did we see these two a couple months ago? The kid drove the car back to the other parent's house. It's obviously old enough to drive a car. Not legally. I'm not saying he's 16 or older. Old enough to operate a car. I feel like we've seen these two before. I feel like we have the first hearing. I'm gonna try to find it, but I don't even know when it was, and I have so many vids. I feel like we've seen these two. You know what? It'll hit us as we're going.
did you ever try to contact Miss Thomas when you come onto the case?
I did. I talked to a lady named Wanda Davis, who I was told that was her friend, and asked her to try to contact her. Maybe she would answer her friend. I also called her sister Sheila and tried to get her to talk to her for
Thank you,
us and
JLM.
get her
Thank
to come
you.
on in. I never did make contact with Jennifer.
That was my bad. Thank you, JLM.
Did you try to call Jennifer's phone number at any point?
Yes, I did. I left a message saying there was an emergency order in place and that she needed to bring Kylan to the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Are you aware if any other law enforcement prior to that Monday had tried to get in contact with Miss Thomas?
No.
Okay. And at that point, and I know that this is still, well, I guess I don't know, is your investigation complete at this point?
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Halsey.
Okay. On that Monday, did you have any luck with any of these individuals getting in contact with her,
No, I didn't.
with Jennifer? Okay. What was your next step?
We was trying to find her car, trying to figure out where she might have been. I called the father and had him bring me a copy of the emergency order and his original papers. And then he called me back and said that he knew that she was in South Carolina at the beach, Hilton Head, and she was posting pictures on Facebook of that.
Did you verify those pictures?
Yes, I looked at the pictures.
Okay. Did you ever see a post that spoke of taking a long way home from the beach?
Yes, I remember seeing that.
And who posted that?
Jennifer.
Okay. Do you recall a roundabout when that was that week?
I would have to look. I don't have the pictures right in front of me right now, but I want to say it was towards the end.
Okay. And did y'all ever have to engage, or did y'all decide to use the flock camera system to try to locate the Kylan?
We did.
And that flock camera system scans tags. It's like a tag reader. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay. At any point, did y'all have a hit on any vehicle registered to Miss Thomas?
We did. It was showing. It was at Highway 96 on Highway 96 in Houston County, Georgia.
On what day?
That was the first day when I got it, April 29th.
So on a Monday. Okay.
We absolutely did this case before. You remember she took the kid, went to the beach for a couple days. She didn't tell anybody, and he called the police, and they had drones looking for her, and she stayed at a friend's house. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna try to drop the link in. This is part 2, guys.
And just keep walking me through what was the next thing that you did in this investigation?
I called Houston County Sheriff's Office. We were looking at some more things, some friends of hers that she might have gone to in that area. So I had Houston County send some people over there to check, but we never did come up with anything.
Okay. All right. Did you or any other law enforcement continue to go out to Miss Thomas's residence in East Dublin?
They did. They kept checking to see if, she had came home.
Okay. And did y'all ever, and I can't remember, correct me if I'm wrong, did y'all ever start trying to ping her cell phone?
We did. Right there towards the end, when you had called me and told me that you felt he was in danger, I started pinging it.
Did you get any pings?
We did. It was in South Carolina.
What date was that?
Hold on. Let me check the notes for the report. Okay, I got it right here. The first ping was in Jeffersonville, Georgia.
Do you know the date?
That was on May 2nd.
Okay.
There was no pings for a couple hours, and then a ping came back in Lawrence County in Bruton.
And this was all on Thursday, May 2nd? Investigator Thomas.
One of her sisters lived at that location where it was pinging at.
Hey, Investigator Thomas, you cut out on us when I asked you that question, something with the internet connection. Were these pings all on Thursday, May 2nd?
Yes.
And go ahead, what you were saying. We didn't hear any of it.
Okay, the first ping was in Jeffersonville, Georgia, and there were no pings for a couple hours. And then another ping showed her back in Lawrence County in Bruton.
Okay. And at some point, did y'all locate the minor child, Kylan Evans?
We did. I asked for patrol to go to the area. We figured out that her sister lived, by looking at the map, she had a sister that lived at that location, which was 498 Peachtree Road. And I thought it was the sister Sheila, but I called Sheila, and Sheila said that it wasn't her house, it was her other sisters. And I asked her, you know, if they were there, to have them come out and speak with the deputies in the yard, but no one ever came out. The sergeant was at the location, and I told him after being there knocking for some time, just to leave some people down the road to see if they could make contact with the vehicle leaving. And as soon as they left, that vehicle left. And they were able to make contact with Jennifer and Kylan.
Were they inside the home?
They left that location,
Okay.
according to the deputies.
So let me backtrack. You said on May 2nd, Thursday afternoon, the deputies were knocking on Miss Thomas's door and nobody come to the door.
They were at her sister's house. I believe it's Rachel. Nobody would come to the door. I believe, Rachel. I don't think Rachel even came to the door.
And so when the deputies pulled off out of sight, is that correct?
Correct.
And Miss Thomas and the youngin come out the door outside looking around?
From what I'm told, because they went down the road, I told them to stay in the area. Now, I don't know how far they were away from that house, but a vehicle left that house, and they made a traffic stop on the vehicle, and Jennifer and Kylan was in the vehicle.
Okay, so they were. Did you ever ask Miss Thomas where she was headed? Then
I hadn't made contact. I wasn't on the phone with.
Let me ask
Sheila.
No, who you said that Jennifer Thomas and Kylan were in that vehicle that left the house, correct?
Right, I wasn't there. This was a patrol deputy.
Okay, but you've spoken with Miss Thomas since, correct?
Correct.
Did you ask Miss Thomas where? Let's start here. Did you ask Miss Thomas why she didn't come to the door when deputies were knocking?
I don't remember asking her that. When I interviewed her, I told her that we had been looking for her, and there was an emergency order in place. She told me that she knew about the emergency order on Saturday, which was the 27th. I explained the charges to her, that she was charged with interference with child custody based on the original papers that were in place, and she took the child out of state, so that was interstate child interference. And she knew she had to let the other parent know that she was going out of state.
And for the record, did Miss Thomas ever contact y'all to come pick Kylan up during this?
No, not. Say again.
During from April 29th till May 2nd, did Miss Thomas ever contact authorities and say, here's Kylan, come pick him up, or anything to that nature?
No.
Okay, did you ask Miss Thomas where she was headed that day after deputies left when she got in the car with Kyle and was driving off?
She told me that she did go to the beach, but she wasn't at the beach the whole week like everybody thought.
Did she tell you what day she come back?
I don't recall her giving me the exact date.
How many law enforcement personnel was involved in this week-long incident?
Well, you had several deputies from different shifts involved in going out to the house, look on the original call, and then going back and checking. Investigations here was involved, and then I had the Houston County Sheriff's Office involved looking.
Okay. No further questions, sir.
Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Investigator Thompson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, if I heard you correctly in your testimony previously, that Kylan ran away from home and went to Jennifer's house, and that's how he got there. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Are you aware that on the day that Kylan ran away and went to Jennifer's house, that deputies from the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department went to Ms. Thomas's house and conducted a welfare check? Are you aware of that?
I know they went out to the house.
Okay. So the day that Kylan ran away and made it to his mother's house, Lawrence County deputies went to Ms. Thomas's house and was there and spoke with Kylan.
Yeah, but I wasn't involved in the case till the 29th.
Okay. But you are aware that a welfare check was done at Ms. Thomas's house after Kylan ran away.
Yes, I know they went out to the house.
Okay.
See if he was there.
And he was there, correct?
From what I read, they never make contact with him.
All right. And
They wasn't there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They never made contact is what I'm reading.
Okay. And from what date is that you're looking at?
This is Friday, April 26th. That was the day that Sergeant Green spoke with Chief Deputy Wright about a runaway juvenile. Okay, I have it right here. Saturday, April the 27th, deputy went back to the location to check to see if they made it back home, and they had not. They didn't make contact with them.
Okay. So what date did Kylan run away from home?
From what I'm showing, it was the 26th.
That was your April the 26th?
According to the reports.
Okay. And as far as the information you have, no one from Lawrence County Sheriff's Office did a welfare check that date and spoke with Kylan.
I'm not seeing where they spoke to Colin.
Okay. How about
I'm seeing where they went out to the house and no one was there.
How about on the following day?
Went back to the location on the 27th. Nobody was there.
And would you have all of the reports from all of the deputies?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if there was video of the deputies coming and doing that welfare check, would you be surprised by that?
I haven't seen any video of the deputies actually talking to Colin. No, I hadn't seen any video like that.
Okay. But I'm asking, since you're not showing it in any report, would you be surprised to see a video where that actually took place?
Right. The paperwork says he wasn't at the house.
I know, right? Nothing further, Judge.
Nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Investigator Thompson. Hope you have a nice afternoon, and you're free to log off at this point in time, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Judge, sweet tea from lunch run thing. Can we take like a 3-minute break and let me wrap my head who to call to keep this moving fast?
Yeah, let's move fast. 3 minutes.
It's a sweet tea break, guys. Go grab your sweet tea. I want to see them get into a physical fight real quick, these two. These two go at it. The last time these two fought, this time they fight at the end. It's great.
We all back?
I'm here, Judge. You can continue.
Judge, if I'd like, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Just call us back to order. Go ahead. Proceed.
I would like to call Miss Thomas. I believe she's the lady that we sent out just a little bit ago.
Yeah. Will you grab her, please, ma'am? Ma'am?
I like unsweetened as well.
Look through that. Will you see if there's any originals in there?
Hi, Chris.
So you was my dump drive.
I'm sure. Hey, ma'am, will you come take the witness stand for us, please? And before you have a seat, if you will raise your right hand and allow Mr. Bozeman to swear you. Okay?
Ms. Thomas, do you swear and affirm testimony about to present for this court that today be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can lower your right hand and have a seat and pull up close to that microphone and speak into it clearly. Obviously, verbal responses to any questions asked. So Madam Court Reporter can record your statements. All right, will you state your name for the record?
Catherine Thomas,
Okay. Miss Thomas, where do you reside?
158 Blackshear Circle, Ferry Circle, Dublin.
Okay, that is up 441 North.
Right off the bypass, off 441 North.
Okay, just so I get a bearing. You live off of Blackshear's Ferry,
Circle.
and that's a neighborhood that's kind of in between Old Toonsboro Road and 441 North.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of wedged in it right there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. And here, several weeks ago, did you have a young individual knocking on your door?
Yes, sir.
All right. What was that individual's name?
I don't remember his name. My granddaughter came to the door with me. She went to school with him and she asked him, "Were you so-and-so, so-and-so?" And she said, "You go to West Stearns?" And he told her, "Yeah." She said, "I know you. I can't remember his name."
Okay. Do you
All right. Listen, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't know this. Does she have a different accent than the other ones? Okay, I know she has a southern accent. I can hear that. But it sounds like her accent is way different. Is it, or am I just crazy?
recall seeing Miss Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is it your understanding that was her
Mhm.
son?
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, afterwards, I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
So he was knocking on your door. Do you know about what time?
It was around 10, 9:30, 10, around in there. It was kind of late, maybe 10:30, something like that. Well, it wasn't after 12.
Okay.
It was between 10 and 11, somewhere around in there.
Did he make a statement to you?
When he first came to the door, I couldn't understand what he was saying, so I turned him away. As he began to walk away, I thought, well, this is a child, so I brought him back. And at that time, that's when my granddaughter came to the door. And that's when she asked him about his schooling and his name. And he asked me, will I call this number, his mother's number? And I said, yeah. And my granddaughter dialed the number for me, and I spoke to his mother.
Okay. You called her. He was wanting to go see his mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When she answered the phone, what was that conversation?
Well, I verified something like this, this young guy. I did know his name, but I can't remember it now. She said, yes, that was his son, her son. And his father is keeping him from her. So she was like, if I get him up, we can meet. We agreed to meet at Dairy Queen. And because she said she lived in East Dublin, I had to come all the way from Blackshear Circle. So I figured Dairy Queen would be halfway.
Yep, I agree, Sarah. I feel like gumbo and crawfish when I hear her.
And she said that his father was keeping him from her and he won't allow her to spend any time with him. Me still not knowing the situation. Okay, so I agreed to meet her there with him. And then later on, maybe 5 minutes as we all was getting ready to load up, I know I didn't call her back. I think she called me back and said that he had just passed Dairy Queen, the father, and she's gonna take him from her if he catches her. So she wanted me to come on. At that point, I got scared and I said, no. I said, well, you just meet me at Dublin Police Department, because I didn't want to get involved with all of that. So I said, you just meet me at Dublin Police Department, and that's where we met at.
Okay. So she just told you, Miss Thomas said that the father is keeping the youngin from her and won't let her see the youngin.
Right.
Did Miss Thomas ever provide you with Mr. Evans' phone number to contact him to come pick up the child?
No, she didn't even call his name.
She
just
didn't even call
saying
his
his father, the boy's father.
Okay. Did Miss Thomas ever tell you that Mr. Evans lives not far from you?
No,
Okay. You aware now how far he lives from you?
I do, because afterwards, all of that happened, he came to my house.
And spoke with you?
Mm-hmm.
He lives just right across the old saying,
Yeah.
the branch.
Yeah, right behind me, really.
Okay. And about what time did you meet her to exchange this child?
I would say around 10:30, because I think we got back to my house right before 11. It was somewhere in that time. Okay, so when we got back to my house, I had my 2 grandsons with me and my granddaughter and my husband. When we got back to my house, one of my grandsons called 911. That's how I found out about him. Okay, me not knowing, one of the kids said, 911 dispatch want to speak with you. And I'm like, 911 dispatch. So when I got on the phone, the dispatch explained to me that my grandson had called. And I was like, no, it's just a misunderstanding. It was a young boy at my door and we got him to his mother. And she said, well, It's a deputy on the way out there. Anyway, you can just tell him. So when the deputy showed up, I explained to the deputy that the young guy came to my door and I took him to his mother. So he asked me what was the young boy's name, and my granddaughter again was at the door with me, and she gave him the name of the young man that came to my door, and the deputy said that he was looking for him.
Okay.
Already looking for him. So I guess that's when he contacted the father.
Well, that's all the questions I have, Judge.
Ross.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ms. Thomas, when the young man showed up on your door that night and he asked you to call his mom, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever ask him, hey, what about your dad?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever
I
ask
didn't know.
him?
I knew nothing about his dad. He mentioned nothing about his dad. So I was just doing what he asked me to do because I didn't know whether the child was in trouble or what.
So he didn't mention dad and you didn't ask?
No, he didn't mention it and I didn't ask.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
All right.
She can step down.
All right. You can step down. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you being here this afternoon, okay?
Um,
May she be excused? She can
Yes,
leave,
yes,
can't she?
yes.
You're
Thank
free
you.
to leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
I need
Don't
Rachel
look
White.
back. Run.
Rachel White.
Isn't it Y? Boiled shrimp. Boiled shrimp. So, I mean, who's Rachel White? The judge called Rachel White, not these two are still calling their witnesses.
Ms. White, if you will come over here and have a seat on the witness stand for us, please.
Non-hairy shrimp.
Thank you very much. Before you have a seat, if you will raise your right hand and allow Mr. Bozeman to swear you in.
That's why you swear in a firm testimony about to present for this court today be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got.
I do.
If you have a seat and pull up to the chair, to the microphone. Ms.
She
White,
looks
if you'll
like
state
she's
your
gonna
name
be
for the
good.
record.
Rachel White.
And what do you do for a living, Ms. White?
I am a licensed professional counselor with Community Service Board of Middle Georgia.
How long have you been doing that?
I got hired June of 2015.
Okay. You familiar with Kyle and Evans?
I am.
Okay. And Ms. White, I think you may, with some of your records, do you need an order from this court to discuss some of that?
I do.
Okay. Judge, at this point, I don't know if you can issue a verbal order or an order allowing her to discuss this. It was just brought to my attention.
For the record, I was wrong. He called her up, not the judge. They sound a lot alike to me.
Because it will limit certain things to discuss. And I know it's been clear from the court's letter that you wanted to hear about this treatment and reasons for why and not. So in order to allow her to effectively testify,
Have a good
we
day,
need
Michael.
a order from you.
I'm not from,
This is new to me too.
Mr. Vane, what do you have to say about this?
Your Honor, I do believe there's a process, and I don't think it's just putting her on the stand and going, hey, Judge, tell her to talk. We went through part of that with the DFACS records this morning. Your Honor.
Can you tell me again what your professional designation is?
I'm a licensed professional counselor under the Georgia Composite Board.
And see, Judge, these records that we have from community mental health were obtained through a HIPAA release, obviously, because the parents both have access to them. And this is a new procedure to me, but for her sake and for her not to violate HIPAA law, she has to have some type of order from the courts, my understanding. Ms. White, you've testified before, correct?
I have, and what usually happens is the judge gives me a verbal order to provide the therapeutic information that is needed for the case.
There you go, Judge.
All right. Just give me a second, please.
Mhm.
These mixed up. Just leave it.
Is this to cover you from the standpoint of counselor-patient privilege?
Yes, sir.
So there's no sort of statutory protection that's set up for you other than that patient-counselor
Yes, sir.
privilege?
Yes, sir.
I
That's
understand.
what my our legal team advises us to do.
I understand. All right. And that, again, wasn't prepared to address this issue this afternoon, as I don't think any of us were. But based upon what you're telling me here today and my brief review of what applicable law I can pull up on a very shorthand basis, I would direct you to please testify to the nature of the things that you have said, that you would typically testify in such hearings. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very well. Please proceed, Mr. Bozeman.
Ms. White, how long have you been treating Callan Evans?
He came back into counseling with me. I believe it was around September of last year, of 2023.
Okay. When you say came back,
He had previously been in counseling with me for a period of maybe 6 to 8 months, and then stopped treatment with me to get specialized services with somebody else, and then came back into treatment with me due to the, my understanding was the drive, the commute to those services.
so total amount of time that you've been treating him, how much?
Probably total amount of time, probably about 1.5 years,
Okay.
give or take.
All right. And as far as Kylan, the court, obviously, I think we're all aware that he was involved in a terrible accident and
Yes.
sustained traumatic brain injury. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What all do you necessarily treat him for?
I am treating him for the diagnosis is intermittent explosive disorder, and then I have concerns with self-esteem and some depression.
Okay. All right. And I believe we got Dr. Schumann here, he's the one that actually prescribes the medication.
Yes, I do not prescribe any medication.
Okay, so how often does Kylan have appointments with you?
I see him every other Monday at 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock. How long does that last?
Generally, the appointments are for about an hour, but if he goes into a crisis situation, then it can last longer than an hour.
All right. So going back to when, I don't want to go back. So when did he come back to you? What around about?
It was
date?
around August, September of last year.
Okay. Fair enough, because there's a certain date we don't want to go past. Let's from that date forward. All right. How when he come back to you, just give me an overview of his treatment and the issues he was having at that time.
There's been a lot of anger, a lot of aggression, a lot of depressive symptoms. We had added to his treatment plan to add a youth peer support, certified peer specialist, and a CSI worker to work with him in addition to therapy to help with community support, get him out into the community and work on, self-esteem and ways to link him to outings and things to get him engaged. My role with him has been mostly so far a lot of de-escalation. I've been trying to work with him on how his thoughts impact emotional reactions, how those emotional reactions impact behaviors. He has come in on crisis multiple times. Sometimes I am there. Sometimes those happen when I am not there. So if I'm not there, he sees other available staff. If I am there and I'm available, I do try to see my kids when I'm there at the office. Most of what I do is very cognitive based. So I try to attack negative belief systems and how those spill over into emotions and how those spill over into behaviors and get kids changing what they think about and how they think about things. And for Kylan, it's got to be extremely repetitive due to the brain injury. He goes back and forth. Like he'll practice it with me very, very well in session, but then there's not a lot of follow through at home without a lot of guidance. He needs a lot of guidance. So sometimes he does very, very well. Sometimes he doesn't. So it's just a matter of repeating it over and 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 over.
Hold on a second. Judge, can we cut the volume up a little bit in there, please? All right, go ahead.
So that's pretty much been my role for him in helping him understand the why behind, rules and why he has to follow those rules, whether those are at school, at home, in the office, in the community, wherever he's at. Because if you can understand the why behind it, he's more likely to follow through.
Okay. As far as his memory, you said something about repetition. Is that regarding his memory?
I wouldn't be able to say whether or not it's like necessarily memory. It's just having to repeat, like some kids with brain injuries or those with autism, it's just, you have to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over for those dots to kind of connect and for them to pick up that tool and use it repeatedly, practice that coping skill at home and in the school and in the community.
Who normally brings him to the appointments?
If he is with dad, dad brings him. If he is with mom, then mom is bringing him.
Okay. Does dad ensure that he makes his appointments?
Yes.
What about mom?
Mom had been consistent for a while, and then there was a period of time where he was missing appointments.
Okay. Have y'all had issues with Miss Thomas and the treatment of Kylan?
Yes.
Please tell the court about that.
Well, when we did his treatment plan back in, it was October, November, she was very upset. Well, Dad was very upset during that appointment as well. I ended up having to get some staff to remove Kylan from the room. Mom was yelling, screaming. She ended up blocking me. And so my desk is beside my window.
Let me pause. And so we're clear. When was this incident about?
This was during the treatment plan update when we were adding services to his treatment plan. Both parents were there at that appointment. This was back in like October, November.
And speak up so I can hear you here. So what happened?
So my desk is beside my window. Dad was sitting in a chair across from my desk. Mom was sitting on, I have a toy chest that can be used as extra seating, and which is beside my door. She began yelling at me, screaming at me, got up, blocked me in where I was seated in my chair. She blocked me in. I had to tell her multiple times to get out of my face and get out of my personal space, or I was going to have to call law enforcement.
Why was she screaming at you? Do you know? She
was very angry, saying that I was not Kylan's mother, that I do not understand, and that she is his mother, and he is in her blood. And
is this the only incident with Miss Thomas?
That's the only time that she has gotten verbally aggressive with me or gotten up in my face like that. I'm not sure if that has happened with other staff at work or not. I know that I have had, there's been some phone calls that I have observed where she has gotten aggressive with Kylan on the phone.
All right, let me ask you about those. All right. When about was the first phone call? Do you remember?
That was in March. That was shortly after he had come back from her home back. She had come back from Florida. I believe she was in Florida, and she tried to get Kylan to admit that he was lying.
About what? About
pulling her, that she wanted him to admit that he pulled her off a bed and had jumped on her.
Are you aware if there's a video of this?
Yes, I saw the video. Kylan showed it to me.
Okay. And so just so I understand, at this point, is Kylan supposed to have a cell phone? And we'll come back to the cell phone issues with Kylan, but is it y'all's recommendation that he have a cell phone?
No, we had an agreement during the treatment plan that he would not have a cell phone.
All right, just some backstory if you didn't see the first one. He gets very aggressive and he hits her, the child, Colin. So he apparently doesn't do this at the father's house because the father has a paddle. The mother doesn't have a paddle. So sometimes when, like the last time in the last hearing, they were all upset because he had hit her. So she drove him right back to his father's house and left him in the driveway. And I think the dad and his new wife was about to go on vacation. And they had plans and everything. And the mom just left the child there. And the child was crying at the end of the driveway. Mom, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. Mom, I'm sorry. So he's on the spectrum. And, he gets physically violent with her. So it's hard for her. It is. I know she's a piece of work, but she does have to deal with this. So this is another instance. I guess mom got mad because he pulled her off the bed. And that's some of the things that she has to deal with.
Signed off on that.
Okay. So who made the phone call to the mother? I'm just trying to get it down for the record.
Kylan called on my work cell.
All right. Was it on speaker?
Yes.
So you heard all this?
Yes. And she was aware it was on speaker. He told her multiple times that it was on speaker.
And she was trying to tell him that he was lying about this
Yes.
video where the bed, he said she says he pushed her.
Yeah.
And he says she fell off.
Yes.
Okay.
And he was very adamant that that is not what happened, that he did not push her, that he was on the other side of the room. And she was blaming stepmom for him believing that, and that stepmom was spreading lies about her and rumors about her. And he was begging her to have contact with him to allow him to see her. And she made multiple comments about like she's given up, she's not going to fight for him anymore and whatnot. And it was quite heartbreaking. He was begging her, please, 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 let me see you.
She was telling Kylan that she was not going to fight for him anymore?
Yeah, that she was done fighting.
Okay. What was her tone on this phone call?
She sounded tearful. Her voice was cracking. She sounded tearful.
Okay. And then were there other phone calls?
The other phone call was just a couple weeks ago. She had called, my understanding was she had called multiple times and he was wanting to call her back. And he was getting upset in my office about wanting to call her back. So Dad asked me, is it okay if he goes ahead and calls her? And I said, sure. So we were going to go ahead and let him call to de-escalate him. And he again told her that she was on speaker, and she said that was fine, that she didn't have anything to hide, and began telling Kylan that she has a recording of Dad cussing her out from earlier that day, and asked Kylan if he wanted to hear it. I intervened and cut that off and said no, that is an adult issue and we're not going to put him in the middle of adult issues because that's not helpful. And she began yelling, which caused Kylan to begin yelling. And she made a comment that told Kylan, well, she knows everything. You can't tell her anything. And he ended up cussing me. And she made a comment that telling Kylan, well, that's okay. I have her recorded and I'm ready for her to.
Okay. And I want to backtrack a little bit. This video of her falling off the bed, was Kylan adamant that he did not push her?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever known Kylan to say that he was at fault?
No.
Okay. Has he ever reflected that to you?
No.
Do you feel if Kylan's ever lied to you?
No.
Okay. If I were to tell you that he says that he was at fault, what would you have to say about that?
My concern would be that somebody has convinced him that that was his fault.
Is that what Ms. Thomas was trying to do?
That was yes.
Okay. Is he impressionable?
Yes.
All right. Now, were there other conversations that happened over the phone in your office between Kylan and his mother?
Those are the only two.
Okay. At any time during that, and I don't recall your notes, but one of the conversations, I believe you stated something to the fact that of how terrible it was, how Ms. Thomas's the tone and the language she was using.
Yes, that was the last phone call. She was telling Colin that she did not want him at our office. We just dope him up, that I was doping him up. I can't do anything about medications. That's outside the scope of my practice. I can't recommend medications or, push meds or anything like that. That's not what I do. I'm a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse.
Was she cussing at him?
She was cussing on the phone.
Was she screaming?
Yes, she began screaming and cussing and talking very ugly about Dad to Colin.
Talking about
Yes.
Todd to
Mhm.
Colin.
Yes.
Have you witnessed any other of that talk coming from Miss Thomas towards Colin?
Yes.
Meaning his dad?
Yes. During some therapy sessions that she's brought him to, she's made kind of snide comments, and I've had to cut those off like rather quickly, saying, just kind of redirecting and going back to, like his treatment plan, like, okay, we're here to talk about, his self-esteem, or, how is he doing in school, and how is his behavior been, and, celebrating some progress and, stuff like that, instead of focusing on, the negative stuff with Dad.
All right. Does Mr. Evans here, Todd, does he follow y'all's treatment plan for Colin?
He has been, yes. I've had some conversations with Mr. Todd, about like the negative impact that the drama between him and Mom needs to stay out of Colin's earshot. Like, even if I've had conversation with him, like even if, him and Miss Delane are talking and they don't think that Colin is, hearing those conversations, he's probably hearing those conversations. And, all Colin knows and understands is that's my mama and I love her. And I've had those conversations with Mom that, all he knows and understands is that's my daddy and I love him, and he doesn't need to be in the middle of that. That is an adult problem. We don't put kids in the middle of adult problems, period. And that's not okay. And after I had, a serious conversation with him about that,
You say with them, that was with both Miss
both
Thomas
of them.
and,
Mhm.
like,
Well, and I've had those conversations separately as well. I ended up, during the treatment plan appointment, I ended up telling both of them, I need y'all, Kylan needs y'all to choose to love him more than you hate each other.
Okay.
And
Did
Dad,
you have any luck with either Miss Thomas or?
that's when I began to see the change in Dad. Mom got very upset and stood up and began yelling at me again and saying, she told me no, she was not going to do that. She was not going to love anybody more than she hated Todd.
She said she's not going to love anybody.
That is what
more
she
than
said. Yes.
So, Mr. Evans, you stated again, you saw changes.
That's when I began to see the change in him, the comments about Mom, even with Colin not in the office, like if he was in the crisis room, they disappeared. Like he began to advocate more. Like, I want him to have a positive relationship with his mama. I want that to be
Well, what about Miss Thomas? When you gave her, I understand she said, I can't love anybody more than I hate Todd. But how was her response to your treatment plan for that?
Kylan ended up going home with Mom that night.
What date are we talking about?
This was back in October, November, when we did the treatment plan.
Okay.
Kylan went home with her that evening and stayed with her for a while.
Do you know about how long? Did you see him every other Monday, correct?
I do.
2 or 3 months?
It was a couple months. It was a few months. He was with her, and
Did she bring him to the appointments while he was with her?
she did.
All
She
of
did.
them?
The vast majority of them, yeah. They're toward the end when he, like a few weeks before he went back over to Dad's, she had missed a couple of appointments.
Do you know if he went to see his dad anytime during that couple months that he was with his mom?
I don't know, Kelly, but I suspect that her attitude and her screaming had something to do with it. But I wasn't there.
believe that they saw each other, but I don't think he went back home to Dad's, but I believe that they had seen each other a couple times and they were talking on the phone, is what Colin told me.
Okay. Did y'all ever, at some point during the time that he was with his mother during this extended stay, did y'all ever drug test Colin?
There was a drug test. At one point, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly when that was, though.
Would that be a better question for Dr. Shin?
That would be a Dr. Schumann question because I don't even think I was. I don't even think I was there that day.
All right. So I clean this record up. He come back to see you last fall.
Yes.
The first meeting you sat down with both parents to come up with a treatment plan.
A few sessions later, yes.
Hold on. Well, you can't just skip over that. Why would they drug test him? When in the world did we hear that he was doing any kind of drugs? We heard a lot from these two people, and never have I heard drugs from Colin be involved in this.
Okay, and that was to quit. One thing's quit talking about each other bad or negatively to Colin.
Yes.
All right. Did that plan involve Colin not having any cell phones?
Yes.
Why?
The concern was, and both parents agreed, that he had been sending multiple inappropriate sexual text messages to girls. Mom said that she had been contacted by a parent, and the parent was upset. She was concerned about Colin getting in
Me
trouble.
too.
Dad was concerned
Please.
about Colin getting in trouble.
Two.
So we
I need
agreed,
two.
no cell phone until he can understand like consequences to behaviors.
Would you call it kind of like hypersexual behavior?
Yeah, because he had been inappropriate with some of the females in our office
Was he?
as well.
Were you aware? I mean, was he looking up stuff on his phone or all the above?
I'm not sure if he was looking stuff. I can't remember if he was actually looking stuff up on his phone, but he was sending inappropriate messages like sexual and contact pictures, asking for pictures, and whatnot. So, and some of these were girls. I mean, he could get in trouble for it, and that was our concern. So he was not supposed to have a cell phone.
And you stated earlier, both parents signed off on
Yes.
this policy.
On this treatment plan, yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Evans abide by the no cell phone as far as you're aware?
Yes.
About Miss Thomas?
No, she did not.
Right. What are you aware of in regards to that?
She gave him a cell phone.
Just one?
As far as I know, it was just one, but she gave him a cell phone. She admitted on the phone back in March during that phone call that she gave him a cell phone.
Okay. And I know probably without asking, everybody here is very appreciative of what community mental health does and what you do. Has treating Colin been easy, so-called, as far as, let me rephrase that. Have y'all had issues outside of what you just talked about as far as treating Colin, as far as him acting out at community mental health or trying to leave or issues like that?
Like you mean in general?
Just over since this past fall, would you treat me?
I mean, treating anybody with a traumatic brain injury is more difficult than treating like your typical, client. Colin's case is more difficult because he takes on so much of the stuff that's going on between mom and dad, and he hears so much that's going on between mom and dad. And if that would just stop, if people would just
The bailiff just walked away, and this mom is crazy. He needs to get back. He needs to get back here.
stop and let Colin just be a kid and quit putting adult problems on to this child and let him be a child. We wouldn't be in this situation today. I'm telling y'all, he is a kid. He's got the mentality of like maybe a 9-year-old. You don't put adult problems on kids. That's not fair. I mean, it's just not. All he knows and understands is those are my parents and I love them. And he has told me over and over and over, and it breaks my heart. He has told me over and over, I just want them to get along. Please just make them get along.
Do you think that Mr. Evans is
Taste them.
trying to
Yes, I
manipulate?
do.
What about Ms. Thomas?
No, I don't. I do not, and that breaks my heart to say it. It truly does. It breaks my heart to say she puts him in the middle of stuff. He tells me that she puts him in the middle of stuff. He tells me I just want her to stop. Please make her stop.
Do you feel like she puts her interest ahead of his?
Yeah.
Earlier, there's been some talk throughout this that Kylan has some anger issues.
Tammy, how are you feeling? Did you get the what was it? I don't remember what I sent you. Did you get the pad that I sent you so you can see court? Are you feeling okay? It's so good to see you, Tammy. I'm just so happy to see you. My goodness gracious. Kelly was just asking about you an hour ago. It's really good to see you, Tammy.
Can you elaborate on that?
He does. He's got a lot of impulse control. There's a lot of anger. He wants very much to take care of his mom.
Do you know why that is?
He told me that he's been with dad for a while and he feels like now it's his turn. He said, it's my turn to take care of my mom.
All this that you described about how mother talked to him over, Ms. Thomas talked to him
Thank
over the
you,
phone
big
here in the
booty
past few months in
starfish.
your office, and just involving him and stuff, and like the telling him that you're lying about the bed incident. With all that in consideration, does Kylan understand all that has happened?
Not the way you and I understand. I don't think. He doesn't get things the same way that you and I get it.
When something negative or bad happens to Kylan, I guess it's stressful or traumatic. In your experience
Thank
with
you.
him,
Thank
how long
you.
does he retain that information or able to remember that?
Until it's brought up again. Like he'll fixate on it for a few days and then it's like he doesn't remember it until it's brought up again. So like if you showed him the video again, he's gonna be like, oh yeah. But
And he had that video. Obviously, he took it. He had it on his phone.
yes. Yes, he showed it to me on the phone that he had.
Okay, and during the times he had his phone in that video, how was his attitude towards his mother?
When, like, on the video, how was his
I guess my
attitude?
question, he had access to the video. Do you know if he looked at that video from time to time on his phone?
He talked about it in my office, and he was, he'd get very upset about it. And that's when he started talking about, I just need her to stop. I just want her to stop. I just want him to get along.
Okay. And so once his phone was taken, he did not have direct access to that video anymore, did he?
That was my understanding, yes.
Oh my God. Tammy. That's awesome. That's so good. Oh my gosh. They took you off hospice? That's so good. That's what a good day. What a good day, guys. Sandra, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Outside of somebody else showing it to him or him seeing it on somebody else's device. Is that your understanding?
That is my understanding.
What was his memory after
Thank you,
that video was
Fozzie.
taken for him? Did he bring it up anymore? Did he have a memory of it?
No. I mean, whether or not he had a memory of it, but he didn't talk about it in my office anymore.
Okay. And you mentioned a minute ago that as far as his memory, he would be worked up right off the rip after something happened and kind of fixate on it for a few days. And then you said, forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Then you said, until somebody else brought it up. Who out of either one of these parents here over, since you've been treating him from November on, do you have any knowledge of which one or either one is potentially bringing this stuff back up to Kylan?
According to Colin, he repeats a lot of the stuff my mama said, my mama said, my mama said.
Okay. Do you know, did he tell you what stuff that she's putting in his head or repeating?
A lot of that, dad is cussing her out, dad's doing this, stepmom is causing mom's problems, dad's the reason that he can't see mama, dad's keeping him away from mama.
And this is what mother, Miss Thomas, is
That
telling
is what,
Kylan.
this is what Kylan tells me that mom is telling him.
Okay, this is not Kylan saying, I'm witnessing this over at my dad's house.
That is correct.
He's saying this is what mom's telling.
Yes.
What, if any, effect have you seen that have on Kylan's relationship with his father?
It can get very violent. He will jump on dad. He'll cuss dad for everything that he's worth.
Thank you, Hope.
It can get bad.
Have you ever seen Todd do anything towards Kylan to provoke him?
No, I have not. No,
Not in your presence.
not in my presence. No.
Okay. Before this
Fozzie,
court,
thank you.
this last court order, and I don't know if you've been made aware of where Ms. Thomas was precluded from attending any medical appointments and all that. That was done in May, the 1st of May. So I'm talking about before that. How bad had it gotten as far as Ms. Thomas being at community mental health?
When it was just her at the appointments with Kylan, things were pretty cordial. If dad was present, it would get pretty bad, like screaming, yelling. We'd have to get Kylan out of the room. I mean, it would be bad.
From both sides?
Yeah. Like he would come in between and tell her to stop, tell dad to stop. I mean, he'd have to come in between them. And that was back in October. Since October, they had not been in the office while I was there.
At the same time.
At the same time, not while I was there.
So that,
They share custody right now. I think dad has primary custody and mom gets visitations, but I really could be wrong because this is so crazy. This case has been so crazy.
I was going back to when you had the conversations with both of them, you said that Mr. Evans complied and Ms.
Yes.
Thomas gave you pushback.
Yes.
Okay. You feel like Kylan's heavily influenced
I do.
by whom?
His mother. He loves his mother.
Anything I haven't asked you that you want this court to know?
I don't doubt for 1 second that both of these parents love Kylan. I don't doubt that for one moment of 1 second of one day. I believe that they love him beyond the stars. Kylan loves his mama. Kylan loves his mama. On behalf of Kylan, the drama's got to stop. Drama's got to stop.
That's coming from Ms. Thomas.
Yeah, things got to calm down. We got to learn how to co-parent. We got to do what we need to do. We got to, because it's tearing him up. It is. It's tearing him up. We got to do what we need to do.
No further questions.
Carls.
Thank you, Judge. All right, Ms. White, you said that Kylan doesn't have a good memory and doesn't understand things the way that we understand them. All right?
I testified I can't account to like his actual memory, but no, he does not understand things. The brain injury, no, he doesn't understand things the same way we do.
So you said he will fixate on things for a couple of days and then forget it till someone brings it back up to talk with him about it, right?
That's my experience with him. Yes, ma'am.
And normally when people fixate on things, it's something that's bothering them, right?
It could be. It could be something positive or something negative. It just depends on what the topic is.
But it's not good for anybody to fixate on anything, is it?
Again, it depends on what it is. It could be something positive. It could be something negative.
Okay. Give me an example of something that's good to fixate on.
If it's something like, if somebody's like fixated on making good grades or something like that, that could be something positive to fixate on.
Okay. It could also be very negative to fixate on making good grades, couldn't it? Because someone who's fixated on that, and then that
I have
test,
several.
Can I finish my question? And then that one test goes wrong, and they don't get the grade they wanted, and they have been fixated on getting this good grade, and then they don't get it. So being fixated on anything normally isn't advisable, is it?
I have several kids with autism that fixate on their grades, and when they make a negative grade, they use that as motivation to do better next time.
Okay. So can I get a yes or no to that?
Again, it depends on the client and the topic.
Is it normally advisable to fixate on anything for anyone? I don't care if you're Einstein or if you have autism. Is it advisable?
I can't give a solid yes or no to that.
Okay. All right. So he fixates, he lets it go, and then if you bring it back up and talk to him about it, he remembers it, right?
That's been my experience with him.
Okay. Now, I want you to give me one example of this. He fixated on it for a couple of days, and then, he was fine. And later on, when he brought it back up, he remembered it. I want you to give me one example of that.
Okay. So the video.
I have an idea, guys, to help this mom, the whole family, but at least help the mom. Legal fiction. You live in Georgia. The mom lives in Georgia. Why don't you give her a little ring ding ding and, just to help calm her down? Just take her to dinner, get her some flowers, and just be in her life to help calm her down. Legal fiction. You can fix her. You can. We will support you in fixing her. And then think of Colin. Think of this little 3-year-old, 9-year-old, 14-year-old boy who needs you as the father figure. Legal, do it for us. Do it for the baby. Do it.
Okay.
With mom falling out of the bed. That was brought up again by a cousin. He got a message from a cousin after, I believe it was several days. And after not talking about that video, he brought it right back up in therapy because a cousin had brought it up.
Okay. So it sounds like to me that Colin has a very good coping strategy, wouldn't you say? This was a negative event. It was an event he didn't like, an event he didn't enjoy. He fixated on it for a little while, and he let it go. He learned how to live with it and deal with it, didn't he?
If you can say that
Spent
a brain
8 months.
injury is a positive coping skill.
Okay. Where did the brain injury come in on that? You didn't say anything about a brain injury. You said Colin. And you know what? It doesn't even matter why Colin does it, whether it's a birth defect, whether it's a brain injury, whether he was choked and suffocated as a child. Your testimony was he would fixate on something and let it go until someone brought it up again to speak with him about it. Did I quote you correctly that time?
Yeah.
Yes. And is it not a good strategy not to fixate on negative things that happened in your
Judge,
life?
this has been asked and answered
I haven't got an answer yet.
multiple times.
Not to that question. We've been around about 3 or 4 other ones.
All right. Ask your question, but move on, please, quickly.
Your example was the video.
Mm-hmm.
I said a specific example for Colin. It's a good thing that Colin did not continue to fixate on that event in his life, isn't it? I want you to give me a yes or no, and then
She's
free to
hungry.
explain your answer however you so choose.
Yes, it is good that he doesn't fixate after a few days.
Now, Dad, you said there's all this drama between the parents, and Dad is turning a little more loving, right? Is that your observation of it?
Define loving.
That was your word.
I didn't say loving. I said that it has turned more cooperative and he has been more positive about Colin's relationship with his mom, wanting that to be more positive.
And when did this change happen?
Again, around October, November, when we had the treatment plan appointment.
So if Dad is standing at a hospital in December screaming mama, calling her a bitch in front of everybody at the hospital, would that be considered by you cooperative with your treatment plan?
I wasn't there. I can't testify to that.
You don't have to. I'm just asking you if that happened, would that be cooperative with your treatment plan?
Judge, we're getting argumentative with the witness here.
The witness is here to answer questions.
They don't even know how close the judge is to putting every single person in the courtroom in jail. They don't know how close to the edge this judge is right now, but you can see signs. He's clearly telling you through his body language that he's about to go off on you.
Your Honor.
She can answer the question.
No, it wouldn't.
Wouldn't be. All right. If Colin is sitting on a porch of his family's home, and all he wants to do is stay and visit his family, and his dad is standing there 10 feet away from him going, you know what? If your mama would get her shit together and do this and do that, you might could see her. Talk to the judge. The judge is the one that won't let you see her. would that be, in your mind, cooperative and good by dad for Kylan?
Saying the word shit, no.
Just the word shit. That's the only part
But-
about that that bothered you?
Saying that he
Oh,
needs.
that's I need to know her motivation, Judge. So the fact that dad said shit to Kylan is the only thing about that scenario that you think would be bad, negative, or unhealthy for Kylan.
Explaining to Kylan that mom needs to abide by everything
Okay.
and
you just
stop the
got-
drama.
Hold
I
on,
was right
let
here
her,
too.
please let her finish her answer.
Okay, then we're going to ask it again because I don't want you to rearrange my question. I want you
I'm
to.
not trying to I'm trying to
months
answer
ago.
your question.
Nope, you rearranged it by saying if he sat down and had a
Just-
conversation. It's not what I asked. It's not what I asked. So I will ask it one more time. If dad stands in a yard and says, if your mom wasn't so bad and can get her shit together, you might could see her and the judge is the one that won't let you see her. Is that good co-parenting and cooperative with your treatment plan?
Again, saying the word shit in front of Kylan, probably not.
All right, so one more time. Is that the only
Judge,
part about that
We're
story that bothered you?
getting argumentative here.
She-
Just calling for speculation.
I've got the point. I've got the point. Please move on.
Okay. Now, you described a day where Miss Thomas was in your office and she became upset and hollered and wouldn't let you out the door.
No, she was literally in my face with her hand in my face screaming at me, and I had to tell her multiple times to get out of my face and to get out of my space, or I would have to call the law.
Okay, great. That's the day I want to talk about right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, is it your testimony that Miss Thomas just for no reason whatsoever, she became that irate and upset that she's up in your face screaming, cussing, hollering, and doing all that? No reason.
That's exactly what happened. We were
No.
talking about co-parenting and what she needs to do, what dad needs to do, and that's exactly what happened.
So for no reason, she just goes off.
That is my testimony.
Okay, so she
That's
didn't
what
have
we
a
were
reason.
talking about.
Now, you said Kylan loves his mother, right?
He does.
And it's pretty safe to say that probably 99.9% of all children love both of their parents, don't they?
Children do. They love their parents.
Children do. Almost every child in this world, no matter how bad their parent is, loves their parents, don't they?
For the most part, yes.
And is it not pretty well established and proven that when you take a parent from a child, that is detrimental to a child, isn't it?
That depends on the case.
Depends on the case. So there are good circumstances, and I mean completely remove a parent from a child's life.
There are.
And give me an example of when a good example of that would be to completely remove the parent from the child. No phone calls, no visits, no supervised visits, no nothing. Under what circumstances is that warranted and good for a child?
In cases of abuse.
Okay, so we talking physical abuse?
If the physical abuse is enough, yes.
Okay, talking sexual abuse?
Absolutely.
Okay, and is it not the case or the fact that even today you will have children who are abused, physically abused by their parents, right? And the courts will still allow supervised visits for those parents, don't they?
There are cases of that, yes.
And that is because we all know that it's very harmful to just take a parent away from a kid, right?
It can be, yes.
Yes, can be.
It's the judge. The judge is so up to here with these two. And you don't even know what they did to him. You're going to find out what they did to him at the end. I think it was just mom. I don't know that, though. I'm pretty sure mom did most of it. Mom and her friends and her family. He is Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. He's breathing through it right now.
Now, there was multiple occasions that Kylan came to your office and asked to call his mother, wasn't there?
Thank you, legal.
He has.
And the reason that he was coming to your office and asking to use your phone to call his mother
And
was
thank you,
because he
Fozzie.
wasn't able to communicate with her at any other time when he was with his dad, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So you don't know that dad was restricting phone calls between mom and Kylan?
I am not aware of that, no.
Okay. Has Kylan ever told you he wants to see his mother?
Yes, he does.
He's told you many times, I just want to see my mother.
Yes.
All right. So under those circumstances, you're a counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a child. I want to see my mother. I want to see my mother. I want to see my mother. This child's not in a good place, is he?
No, which is why she was invited to family therapy appointments but did not attend.
Okay. And when was that? Give me some dates. Give me.
Actually, the last date was April 22nd
Of this year?
of this year. Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Did you reach out to Miss Thomas? And
I did. I texted her.
Okay. And let her know about the April 22nd date?
Yes, ma'am. She was also aware of the schedule. He's reoccurring every other Monday at 4 o'clock.
Okay. And you talked about, I don't remember exactly what the question was, but your answer was, you didn't think Kylan would lie. I don't remember exactly what you were asked about, but you said
I've not known him to lie
you've
to me,
not known
no.
him to lie. All right. So would you be surprised to know that dad reported to a psychologist, psychiatrist, that Kylan has a real problem with lying?
I've not known him to lie to me, no.
So did dad ever express to you that that was an issue?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay. So does it surprise you to know that he reported to
Hi, Melissa.
another? What's her name? Let's see. What's her name?
Hi, chaotic.
A psychiatrist that Kylan had a problem with lying. Does that surprise you?
Hi, Sly Delish.
Yes.
That surprises you that he reported that? Yes?
I said yes.
Okay. Now, you say that mom, and I'm going to paraphrase this, so if you don't like it, you correct me, okay?
Mhm.
I'm going to take your testimony to say that you feel like mom is the main driver behind the drama that's going on.
According to
I'm
Todd.
object to on basically testifying here. I mean, she needs to ask her what her opinion. Not I take it that you just can't stand Miss Thomas.
Well, that's not what she said. I'm overruling it. She said she could correct her if she's not asking it correctly.
I took the whole of your testimony to come off as you felt like mom was the main driver of the drama,
According to Kylan, yes.
according to
Kylan.
Kylan. So, just Kylan, I mean, we've listened to you talk for like 30 or 45 minutes and you never said Kylan said mom was causing all these problems.
I've said that Kylan is repeating a lot of what he
She
is
really
hearing
did
from
say that.
mom.
She did
As far
say
as what he hears that dad's cussing her out, dad's causing problems, he's the reason that he can't see mom.
Okay, have you ever tried to verify any of this?
Mom is no longer allowed to come to appointments.
Okay, so if dad is on a continuing basis cussing mom out, is there something wrong with that?
He doesn't need to be in the middle of it.
I absolutely, completely agree with you on that one. But the point here is, it's as if you're saying she's the main driver of the drama and that you don't believe, because now you say it's Kylan telling you mom said dad's cussing mom out, this and that. What if those things Kylan are telling you are true?
Regardless of whether they're true, he doesn't need to be in the middle of it.
Mom has literally did it right in front of her repeatedly on the phone and in person. It's not just what Colin is saying.
Sure. But are you addressing that, or are you just pretending like it
Judge,
didn't
I'm gonna
happen?
object to, there is testimony in, I mean, she's making the comments after she's done, I haven't objected for quite some time now, like the sure or the, yeah, that's right, that type stuff after she comments. I would ask that the court ask Ms. Vaney to refrain from that.
Yeah, please just ask questions.
Okay. So again, I started this by saying your testimony came off as if you felt like mom was the main driver of the drama.
According to Colin, yes.
According to Colin. And it's because Colin says, Dad won't let me see mom. Mom says Dad's cussing her out. What if those things are true?
He doesn't need to be in the middle of it.
Okay. But you can't keep him out of the fact that Dad's not letting him see mom, can you?
She can keep him out of the middle of it.
How can, if he's not seeing her, he's not seeing her, right?
She's talking to him.
Should we not let her talk to him either?
That's not what I'm saying.
I think
What I'm
Mom,
saying
I
is
think.
she doesn't have to tell him all of these negative things that are going on between her and mom. You don't put kids in the middle of adult problems.
Okay. And so you assume that there's nothing being said at the household with Dad, even though I've given you these examples of Dad verbally discussing these issues in front of Colin.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm going based off what's reported to me. And what I witnessed.
And the phone call where Miss Thomas was on speakerphone with Colin there in the office, you said her words were, she's done fighting, and she sounded tearful.
She did.
Okay. Would it be even listening to Colin, would it be a fair characterization that this has been a very long, drawn-out process for all of them?
I'm sure it has.
It's gone on for quite some time, hasn't it?
I don't know how long it's gone on for, but
Has it been going on for as long as you've been involved with them?
I don't know. There wasn't a court case when I was involved that I know of.
Okay, so
Back the first time, no.
your understanding that last September there was no court case?
Warren.
No,
think
back when
Warren.
I had him in services the first time, when he was in, before there was a break.
So you said he came back into, you were counseling him since September of last year, right?
That's about the time that he came back into
It's either Warren or Licking County.
therapy with me, yes.
So this case, did you know that this case was ongoing then?
The court case, I don't remember when I found out that the case was in court.
Now, the no cell phone rule with Colin. All right, so your testimony was, Colin, I want to say you said he had like the cognitive of like a 9-year-old? Was that the age that you gave?
That was my understanding from his doctors, yes.
Oh, so that's your understanding from his doctors. So, and you talk about this cell phone activity that Colin's doing. So cognitively, they say he's 9 years old. How old is Colin?
He is 16.
16 years old. Is Colin the first 14, 15, 16-year-old boy that you have ever met that has sent lewd sexual requests and statements to other people?
No.
No. In fact, that's pretty common these days, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. So his sending, no matter how you want to slice it, whether you want to say it's sexual or lewd, it's not unusual for a boy his age, is it?
No, but it's also illegal.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last
I
part.
said it's also illegal.
Of course it's illegal. Yeah, absolutely. But it's illegal for every child, isn't it?
It is.
It is. But whether we all like it or not, it's a pretty prevalent common thing amongst teenagers these
It
days,
is.
isn't it? Yes. So in that regard, Kylan's behavior isn't out of this world crazy.
No.
No. Nothing
Judge,
further, Your Honor.
I mean, if I ever get this transcript, I want to check it. And I get it, maybe just have it, but Miss Vaney's just repeating her response, and it's.
But hey, she's done with her line of questioning.
It's also a cross-exam. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, misconduct.
Was this the same objection as before?
It's like
Mr.
he says
Bozeman.
no, and Miss Vaney says no, and I'm like, man, this. You see, I just asked. Let's just stick to the questions and let the witness respond.
Well,
and go on to the next question.
If the line of questioning was going to continue, I would sustain your objection, but it's done. It's over. There's no jury here. I can sort it out. If you've got any redirect, I'd suggest you do it in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Miss White,
Yes.
you were asked earlier by Miss Vaney that, and let me make sure I get this correct, about it was made known or somebody made a comment in another report that Kylan has a problem with lying. Do you recall that line of question?
Yes.
In your experience with Kylan, do you feel he has ever lied to you?
I do not.
Do you feel like you have that type relationship with him?
I do.
Okay. And do you still stand by your comments earlier about that Ms. Thomas needs to quit all the drama and put the shall first?
I do.
Thank you. No further question.
All right. Anything else? Ms.
No.
White? All right. You may step down, Ms. White. Thank you very much.
Judge, next witness, Rob Sheeman.
I mean, are you going to be able to get him done in 10 minutes?
Absolutely not.
Probably not. I just hate to keep dragging him away from.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of this thing. I can't,
I understand.
you know. I mean, I got Mr. Butler sitting over here all day too.
He gets paid.
Well, I mean, you know, I hate that. And that's why I suggested that we do things a little differently in my email for busy people that have very busy schedules. But I mean, I didn't subpoena them to sit here all day, you know, and so I'm not going to keep the entire courthouse open for this hearing. I'm just not going to do it. I've done it before. And I mean, these deputies have families and things to do just like the rest of us do.
I
So
think we moved through my witnesses pretty quickly.
say again.
I said, I think we moved through my witnesses so far pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think once we got past Miss Thomas, we've made a lot of headway into the case. But I don't see how we finish this today. Do y'all?
Oh, no, that's definitely not.
All right. Well, then now's just a good time as any to stop is the way I say it. All right. All right. Let me share with everybody my concerns. All right.
I feel like we all need to go drink a shot real quick or something, because this is when we learn some stuff, guys. We learn some stuff and we hear some stuff. Just breathe, buckle up.
My concerns is that we minimize the amount of, for lack of a better term, drama between now and when we come back. That we minimize disruption in any ongoing medical treatments and things such as that. That we minimize any, airing of grievances on Facebook or any other social media platform. And let me just say this. To the extent that I do not have any control over the social media behavior of people who are not parties to this case. Let me just say as a general statement, it does not make me happy or help anyone's case for me to be tagged on social media posts that involve this case. Because what you are essentially doing is hijacking my personal space where I put pictures of my family and my children and using it as a mechanism to communicate your preferences about what this court does. And the people that are doing that are doing it with half of the information. So let me make that absolutely clear. That is not fair. It is not appropriate under any circumstances. It is not appropriate or fair under any circumstances for my wife to be brought into private conversations about this case and then deleted mysteriously. That is not appropriate. And I won't stand for it. And by God, whatever power I have to bring that behavior to an end, I will exercise. I'm asking you, please, to see that that does not help anybody's case to do that. I know your attorneys would advise you not to do it, and I'm asking you, please, do not do it. I thought I was pretty clear. Apparently, I wasn't. So, please, do not have people call my office and lie to my secretary about why they are calling me. Not appropriate. As Thomas, I've watched you this entire time. Please, just please. All right? I'm trying to set all of that aside and render a fair and impartial decision in this case based upon the evidence that's brought before me, not what's happening out on the internet somewhere, okay? Every other judge has been run off this case because of behavior that is similar to this. And I'm trying to avoid that in this situation so that I can help y'all resolve your issue. All right, so let's move past that. School starts back when?
I'm sorry.
When does school start back?
Next week.
I believe the 6th. Does that sound correct?
2 weeks. Sorry, 2 weeks. I'm trying to rush them back to school.
All right. I'm showing first day for students is the 6th of August. That leaves trying to look. All right. I will say this, until we get to the end of this hearing, I don't think it is appropriate for me to order a change of custody outright until we get to the end of this hearing. And I've heard all the evidence in this case, all right? And I'm able to render my decision. I don't think that's an appropriate decision or way to approach this decision. However, this is summer visitation. Under a normal schedule, the mother would have had visitation during this time, and I don't see any reason why she should not have, at this point in time, some extended visitation, and then until we resolve this issue, ongoing visitation, okay? The emergency situation resolved itself, and we tried to get back to court. I know everybody earnestly tried. Summer schedules being what they are, it's unfortunate that we've gotten this far down the road and things have not been resolved, but that just is what it is. And you know, we're in the situation that we're in. What time is it now? 5. All right. Is it going to be terribly disruptive for the child to go with the mother this afternoon?
Absolutely not.
All right. 6 p.m. tonight until until Friday the 2nd, okay?
Until when?
Friday the 2nd, 6 p.m. So the child can return to the father's house and get situated for school. During that time, if the child has medical visits that are scheduled, I assume they've already been scheduled 2 weeks out. Please make sure that the child attends these appointments. The mother can get him to the appointments, whether they be mental health or otherwise. I assume I'm going to learn about it if they don't go well. You know, it seems like there's appropriate ongoing treatment in place. I expect all of that to just continue as is. And again, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it if it doesn't go well. So please take this responsibility very seriously, because ultimately it's going to be something that I consider when we come back. I'm sure the evidence is still open, so I'm sure I'll hear about it.
So you said today at 6 to this Friday at 6?
Friday the 2nd.
I'm sorry?
Friday the 2nd.
The 2nd.
Okay. I mean, the mother hadn't had visitation in 3 months. All right. And it's summer, and she would have had every other weekend or consecutive weeks or whatever it called for in
But
there.
for creating all this.
I'm given, okay? And her contemptuous behavior, whatever it determines to be, can be dealt with at a later time. But the boy wants to see his mama, all right? And I mean, there's no reason that she shouldn't, assuming that everybody, I'm just asking everybody to behave. All right, I don't know a better way to put it. It's just asking everybody to behave. And we'll come back and deal with the remainder of this at some later time. All right, as quickly as we possibly can, obviously. I don't want to kick this can down the road. I want this to be done. All right. And I feel like me and Ms. Giddens have been very proactive about trying to keep this fresh and, you know, not forget about it and let it linger. Okay.
Judge, I mean, my concern, and I respect the court's ruling. Here's my concern. I was on vacation with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And I got summoned to a conference call, and I understand that you're upset. I'm as upset as you are.
Yeah.
And I'm going to object. Is he
No.
really arguing with your
No,
ruling?
what
I
I
don't
know.
want to sit here and listen
No,
to him
what I'm
argue with
stating
your
is-
ruling.
All right,
Seriously.
hold on. Well, I'm not changing my ruling, so it doesn't matter.
But I don't want to spend my day listening to him argue with your ruling because he doesn't like it.
Judge, for the
It's
I don't
record,
even
not
know-
the way that it works.
All right, I don't even know what he's
please
going to
stop
say.
interrupting me. Mom.
We all have to sit here and listen to you argue.
She's
Nice
saying
try,
no.
legal.
All right,
This
Alana,
close.
please stop and let Ben finish what he's going to say. If you have
Judge,
some legal
all
objection.
I'm saying is, I respect the ruling. I have
There's a
concerns.
snake in
We're
my boot.
rewarding bad behavior is essentially what we're doing. We have had, since your order, and you've heard ample evidence today that nothing can be abided by. We've had 2
Yeah.
conference calls on this, and one while I was in the middle of vacation. So all I'm saying is it winds up being a shit show always
All right.
at my office.
I got you. And look, I share your concerns. Am I concerned that by just quote unquote, giving Miss Thomas exactly what she wants in this situation, that I'm rewarding her bad behavior? There's a part of me in my decision-making process that does enter my mind. But here's the thing is I'm not going to punish the child for bad decisions that Miss Thomas has made. The boy wants to see his mom. All right. We can deal with that at a later time. I think that I've tried to be restrained in the way I've dealt with this, and I hope that that makes an impression upon everybody who can hear my voice. And I apologize on behalf of the court that you were put in the situation you were, and I appreciate you accommodating that from across the nation. I'm sure Ms. Devaney didn't want to be having to deal with it either. We can all agree that those are things that should not be happening. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to punish the child, okay? and he wants to see his mother.
Well, then it should be supervised.
Well, I'm sorry that
And I would ask the court just to remind, we know there's been testimony about the child not being returned on either side. I would ask the court to implore that Friday at 6 p.m. that the child be returned, come hell or high water.
if the child's not returned, then we've got a different situation on our hands. Okay. All right.
If I may, I'm afraid I might not have heard everything that you said in your order. I was trying to write it down. So
Yeah.
it was today at 6 to August the 2nd at 6.
At 6 p.m. so
Yes,
the
sir.
child can get back home and get
Yes, sir.
situated for the school year.
And
Okay.
then would she go back to her every other weekend while we wait on finishing this hearing?
Yeah. All right.
And is the court going to draw the order, or would you like one of us to do
Judge,
it?
and I would, you mentioned about the Facebook post. So my understanding is everything in the emergency order is staying in place that's not altered by this visitation. No Facebook post by either parties. She's not to attend medical appointments.
If the child has medical appointments, she needs to go. All right. If there are disruptions and she can't handle the responsibility, then I'm sure I'm going to find out about it. Okay. I mean, look, we can't stay in this holding pattern forever.
I
We've
get
got to move forward.
Well,
Okay.
what about the provision against Facebook posts? I would ask that stand. I
Well,
think there's been clear evidence.
Ms. Thomas, there's nothing you can say that's going to help you any more than what your lawyer has already done. Okay. So please, I am ordering the provision that I previously have will be modified to the extent that you shall not ask or permit other people to do it on your behalf. Okay. So Ms. Thomas, please, for the love of everything, please do not encourage people to post this stuff on your behalf. Okay. It's not helping your case. All right. They think they're helping you, but they're not. All right. The main thing is her visitation starts tonight. If there's any other issues that I failed to address in my attempt to get us all out of the courthouse so they can shut it down, I will deal with it via email with you too. Okay. And y'all can review my order, to make sure I didn't miss anything before I sign it. But I mean, those are the nuts and bolts of it.
So
Okay.
you're going to draft it.
I'll draft it.
That was my question. Did you want?
I'll
to
draft it.
And you're going to reserve to hold off till we finish the evidence on the contempt.
That's right.
I'm asking that.
Yeah. The evidence is open. I'm not ruling on any final issues. All right. Including the contempt.
Okay.
All right.
You are a member, Todd. If you want to gift memberships, you have to click gift membership.
Judge,
not buy
they've been
memberships.
meeting at Rose's. There's a security system there for the exchange of the child. Can we maintain that at Rose's parking lot?
That's fine with Ms. Tommy Turner.
Very good.
They want to do that for all the visits from here forward until there's a change. Meet at Rose's.
Now, my understanding is we're just dealing with today to Friday, the 2nd at 6 p.m.
Every other weekend until we come back. and
When
further-
did that get added in?
I don't know, like 5 minutes ago when the judge said it.
Are we adding every other weekend, Judge, until we come back?
And that's what I said. All right. We're just, I'm not going to start her visitation again and then stop it. All right.
And yes, Rose's.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good evening. Okay.
Man, I hate to burn a whole junk. Will you bring it back? When you'll bring it back? Because
Thanks, John.
I've got a ton of stuff on here I'm gonna have to delete. Well, not a ton. I was hoping to be able to get it.
Okay. I'm going to show you something sad, guys. It's not another case. It's right here.
I hate to waste the whole jump drive and then do another one.
All right, hold on. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. See the court reporter? See the court reporter?
I guess you bring it back
Focus on
up.
her.
and then
She's still working. She's still working.
Pretty much any second now.
She's still working.
My grandson, I mean, my
to Denver, but that you
now I can go from Atlanta to Denver.
matter of fact, one time from Colorado,
There he
we
goes.
were out there skiing. That would have been back in 2008.
Bailiff is still there. Everybody just left her. I think every day this is her. She can't go anywhere until everybody's gone in case something needs to go on the record. Isn't that sad? She's just leaving all by herself. All right, guys, we did it. We made it through the second part. Okay. I don't know when the third part's coming up. He didn't say. So I guess we'll just have to keep an eye out and wait. I don't know. Listen, we almost didn't get that today because I had to go to work and they were still going on when I went to work. And I had two computers. I had two computers recording Georgia when I left for work. And I said to my 20-year-old son, I said, love, please just stop the recordings around 6. Because if they keep going until I get off work, the recordings are too long and my computer will freeze. And then I'll lose the recording. I said, please stop the recording. It's 6 o'clock. Please. Two computers. He stopped this computer. He didn't stop the other computer. So I lost that. I think that was a custody case too. But he stopped this one. So we were able to see this one. He's such a good boy. He did half of it. All right. Thank you for all the gifted memberships. Thank you for all the super chats and super stickers, guys. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Thanks, Misconduct. All right. Fleischer starts in 3 hours, guys. Go take a nap and get ready. See you in Judge Fleischer's courtroom. Melissa, Victoria, have a good day. I hope it's nice and slow like yesterday. That was kind of nice, huh? Linus, you look good in blue. Bye, Melissa. Bye, guys. Bye back. Behave, okay? Donald, I hope your trip goes well. Fozzie, get back to work. Bye, guys.